All my niggas turn shooters. All my ops turn rats. All my niggas turn shooters. On the internet, you ain't been a threat. You been stuck in a computer. Show me the proof. All my niggas turn shooters. All my niggas from the Uda. Welcome to the Uda. All my niggas from the Uda. All my niggas turn shooters. All my ops turn rats. All my niggas turn shooters. On the internet, you ain't been a threat. You been stuck in a computer. All my niggas from the Uda. All my niggas turn shooters. All my ops turn rats. All my niggas turn shooters. On the internet, you ain't been a threat. You been stuck in a computer.
You already know the vibes. You already know the vibes. We back with another one. Listen, Little Durk, 12-page motion by the prosecution. The government's 12-page motion. Some people are saying this could be a drastic situation for Durk. All right. We also got the response by the defense to them wanting to impanel an anonymous jury. We understand that they've been trying to do that. They want to impanel anonymous jury because they're saying that either the jury or the witnesses' lives are going to be in danger. Okay. They went as far to correlate or compare Durk and OTF to the Mexican mafia. Okay.
Oh, no, you can't be serious. That's some bullshit right there.
That's just my own thought. That's just my own thought. That's crazy. Mexican mafias? That's crazy. But listen, though, we on go right now. We're going to get into this read. Shout out to everybody that's on any other platforms that I stream to. Make sure y'all all subscribing to Uda on Go, OOTAONGO, and y'all get it on go. Y'all hit the poll in any of the chats and let us see exactly what the government's saying and what they're claiming. And, you know what I mean? They're saying that he did multiple hits and they're going into a lot of stuff, Devon Bennett and all this other stuff. So let's exactly see what the hell's going on because it's crazy. All right. So we ain't going to waste too much time. All right, cool. Let me just make sure I can see the screen. Salute to everybody. Y'all just make sure y'all drop likes. Y'all let me know what y'all thinking about the Durk situation. Do y'all think it's lights out for Durk? Do y'all think that Durk could get about this situation? What do y'all think? What do y'all feel? You know what I mean? Boom. All right. The government's opposition to the defendant Banks' motion to suppress evidence and request for a Franks v. Delaware hearing. Okay. If you don't know what Frank's hearing is, a Frank's hearing is a hearing that you have that you want to throw out the evidence that's being used against you. It could be wiretaps. It could be multiple evidence, surveillances, the things that the feds use against you. All right. They get Title III warrants and affidavits. And then with these things, they get to surveillance. You go through your trash, go through your garbage, do all of the things that feds like to do. Okay. So all of the evidence that's gained against you, you can have a Frank's hearing and they can suppress some of the evidence that's used against you. But the government is trying to deny him even having this Frank's hearing. You want a Frank's hearing to suppress some of the things that's against you, bro. You want it. All right, cool. Let's get to this. Boom. All right, they show you the hearing date. Boom, 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 boom. Show you everything right there. Okay. Plaintiff, United States of America, by and through its counsel of record, the acting United States Attorney for the Council District of California and Assistant United States Attorney, they go into the names of them, files its opposition to the defendant's Banks' motion to suppress evidence and request for a Franks v. Delaware hearing. This opposition is based upon the attached memorandum of points and authorities, the files and records in this case, and such further evidence and argument as the court may permit. They go into it. It was respectfully submitted by. They go into all of that, right? Showing y'all, scroll by that slow for you. Okay, cool. Let's go into the memoranda of points and authorities. Defendant Banks moves to suppress evidence seized from two accounts pursuant to federal search warrants. One, the X account at Lil Durk, the Banks X account, and the two, the Durkio at iCloud.com, the iCloud account, the bank's iCloud account. This is what they're calling into question. As in prior filings, defendant's motions focuses on rap lyrics contained in Wonderful Wayne and Jackie Boy. Defendant does not dispute that he rapped those lyrics or that his lyrics are about green lighting a M of a rival. Instead, defendant asserts that lyrics were written 7 months before SR's unaliving, and thus the government's mere inclusion of the lyrics in a search warrant affidavit amounts to a material falsity requiring a Frank's hearing. This argument is meritless for several reasons. Crazy. It says several reasons. Crazy. First, the defendant has filed No, sorry. First, the defendant has failed to identify any false statement or information actually contained in the affidavit. Apparently, recognizing this, the defendant's attempt to manufacture a misrepresentation by citing to an allegation about the lyrics contained in a prior non-operative iteration of the indictment, and then ask the court to interpose falsity within the affidavit where there is none. But other than the defendant's claim, the warrants contain demonstrably false statements or omissions. The motion is devoid of evidence or facts that show the following. Let's see the subtitle, what they're trying to say in one. Where's point one? Let's see where point one was. They usually put it up there. Let me see if they put it in the lyrics. Okay, point one was here. Okay. Point one was here. So we're going to see what the subtext say about the iClouds and all that. As defendant notes in his motion, the affidavits filed in the support of the warrants are substantially similar, and thus the government will generally refer to the affidavits as the affidavit in this filing. For Exhibit A, defendant filed a version of the affidavit that contains a redacted footnote. That footnote, however, is substantially similar to the footnote in 3 in Exhibit B. Okay, cool. All right. Factual allegations is anything but true. In December 2022, Banks was featured on a song called Wonderful Wayne and Jackie Boy. In the song, Banks rapped that it's effed up that I'd rather get revenge instead of getting millions. Told me they got an addy. Go, go. Got a location. Go, go. Green light. Go, 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 go. Look on the news and see your son. You screaming. No, no. P. Notably following SR's unaliving on August 19th, 2022, a bystander video captured TB, Quando Rondo, screaming no, no when he saw SR's body pulled from the Escalade. Now, the affidavit noting that this allegation is false or misleading. Indeed, the defendant does not dispute that he was featured in the song or that it was released 4 months after SR's unaliving. Defendant does not dispute that his song explicitly referenced seeking revenge over profits and greenlighting violence after learning the location of arrival. And the defendant does not dispute the lyrics are similar to a publicized video of the defendant's rival, TB, screaming no, no, while watching the sheriff deputies remove SR's body from a vehicle on the day that he was unalive. Nor can he simply put these factual allegations are true, not false, as the defendant claims. The defendant's omissions theory similarly lacks merit, citing to an affidavit from a sound engineer that the defendant Banks filed earlier in this case. The defendant asserts that the affidavit recklessly or intentionally failed to state the defendant's wrote his lyrics before the SR's unaliving. But even assuming this is true, the government could not have purposefully or recklessly omitted a fact it did not know. And even if this standard was met, it isn't. The defendant's argument also fails because it hinges on the premise that his lyrics are only relevant to the probable cause determination if he wrote them after SR's unaliving, but not so. The defendant's lyrics, i.e. admissions, they call his lyrics admissions. That's crazy. That's crazy to call your lyrics to admissions. About ordering a hit and seeking revenge show the defendant's modus operandi and corroborates CW1's, this is a witness, somebody's talking, account that the defendant ordered and financed the Los Angeles unaliving as set forth in the affidavit. Who the hell could have said that? Nah. Did they get somebody saying that, personally saying that, or do they got somebody saying that in the messages? Because we know that they have conversations of people, yo, bro, people's fools, bro. They was having conversations, man. Sad, bro. Talking about it like, yo, son, what's up with Durk? He gonna send that money and all of that. Like, yo, bro, if this is true, I don't know. But I'm just saying, why is any of these conversations happening online? Because these are the things that the government is using and citing in that case, bro. You see what I'm saying? It's just some circumstantial stuff. He said, yo, don't put nothing in my name or something like that. That's what Durk said, you know. That's it. But we got other people messaging each other, whether they part of OTF or whether they close to them. They like, yo, what's up? He sent the bread. Yo, when that bread dropping, da, 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 when it's landing, yo, it's going to land chill. You know what I'm saying? It got things like that, which is kind of like tying them in because it's OTF, but it's really not him. It's not like you got a person say, yo, it's Durk did it. He did it. But they're saying CW1 is saying that Durk did this. So did CW1 say that Durk did it straight, or did CW1 kind of admit to it some way in a message, in a voicemail or voice note? Because that's a possibility too. So we have to think about those two things. All right, cool. Let's get back to the work. All right, cool. That's crazy though. They called them admissions though. All right. Although the court can deny the defendant's motions on the merits, it needs not do so here. As discussed further below, the defendant has a standing only to challenge the seizure of evidence from the accounts that belong to him, the two accounts at issue. Because the government does not intend to introduce evidence seized from those accounts at trial, the government respectfully requests that the court deny that motion. Wow, they say they ain't even going to go into the accounts? Wait a minute, let me read that part again. The defendant has standing only to challenge the seizure of the evidence from the accounts that belong to him, which is, i.e., the two accounts, the iCloud and the X account. But because the government does not intend to introduce evidence seized from those accounts at trial, the government, they basically saying what we got, we don't even need that. So you might as well just deny that too, because we don't even need that. Based on, we're going to see what they're going into now. Boom. A, argument. The defendant motion is moot. The Fourth Amendment guarantees the right of people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures. Yes, Smith versus Maryland. That's the citing. The capacity to claim the protection of the Fourth Amendment depends upon whether the person who claims the protection has a legitimate expectation of the privacy in the invaded place. They go into another case. It is well settled that a defendant does not have a reasonable expectation of privacy in someone else's email or online account. They cite another case. Fourth Amendment rights are personal rights which, like some other constitutional rights, may not be vicariously asserted, noting that co-conspirators and co-defendants have been accorded no special Fourth Amendment standings. They go into another case. Okay, Chief District Judge Gee ruling that the defendant lacks standing to challenge the warrant as to the 3 Gmail accounts that do not belong to him. Okay. In this case, a person has no expectation of privacy in another person's email account. Okay. So you're talking about the other people? Hold on. Let's figure this out. Why are they citing this? Because Durk and them are talking about their own cases. Okay, here the government has reviewed the evidence seized from Banks's X and iCloud accounts and determined that it will not seek to admit in its case in chief any such evidence. The defendant has failed to submit a declaration alleging possessory interest in the other iCloud accounts search pursuant. So the other iCloud accounts is what they're pushing on. Okay, they saying basically those two that they're talking about, we don't care, because these, whether they're associated to you or not, they're saying, but you don't have no business in somebody else's email. You cannot be trying to get things thrown out for somebody else's email. You don't have no rights over this. That's why they just cited that up here. So it goes to show you what they're trying to use. Search pursuant to the warrant or at issue, nor can he, because they do not belong to him, and thus the defendant does not have standing to challenge the warrant of those accounts. The defendant's motion is therefore moot. Affirming the district court's determination that the defendant's motion to suppress was moot, and where the government informed court it was not introducing the seized evidence at the trial, even if the defendant's motion was not moot, and the defendant contained significant evidence to establish probable cause to search the bank's X account and the bank's X X account and an iCloud account. Although the court need not reach the merits, the affidavit had ample probable cause to search both of the defendant's accounts. Probable cause is not a high bar. Rather, probable cause is only a fair probability that contraband or evidence of a crime will be found in a particular place. Whether probable cause exists is based on the totality of the circumstances known to the officers. Moreover, the law enforcement may draw upon their experience and their expertise in determining the existence of probable cause. The experience of a trained law enforcement agent is entitled to consideration in determining whether there was probable cause. Both search warrants authorize law enforcement to search for evidence of various offenses, including violations of M for hire and conspiracy to commit M for hire, racketeering influence, and corrupt organizations, RICO conspiracy, and the violent crime in the aid of racketeering statute. Each warrant was supported by a substantially similar 35-page sworn affidavit from an FBI special agent. The affidavit detailed the special agent's 14 years of training and experience in M's and other violent crime investigations. The affidavit sets forth specific facts establishing that the Chicago-based hitman traveled to Los Angeles to unalive one of the defendant Banks's and OTF's rivals, and that defendant Banks ordered and financed the M plot. Among the evidence referenced in the affidavit is information provided by who's this? Who is this black providing this information? Nasty word. Based on information from CW1, here we go, and open source reporting, the affidavit explains that the defendant Banks placed a bounty on TB's life following the unaliving of an OTF member, Davon Bennett, aka King Vaughn. The affidavit further disclosed that CW1 knew that the defendant Banks placed other monetary bounties for unalivements of people whom the defendant Banks was feuding, including 6 other individuals. 6 other individuals is crazy. Okay. The affidavit also listed significant evidence corroborating CW1's account of the defendant Banks' involvement in SR's unaliving, specifically according to bank and flight records. An associate of the defendant Banks coordinated and paid for 5 of the co-conspirators to fly to and from Southern California using a credit card that was linked to defendant Banks and OTF. This is one of the worst things that happened to Durk right here. Them doing this. Great. If you ain't do this, bro, you got him saying, yo, don't book nothing in my name. All right, cool. But yo, this is major, bro. That. Why y'all even putting stuff in the name anyway, bro? Y'all ain't got money? That's weird, bro. Y'all just looking for a reason for people to tie it in. It's just crazy. This don't even make sense if this is true. Don't even make sense. Even if it's not true, what you doing? And just like, look, imagine it's not true, right? Okay, because remember, everybody presumed innocent until guilty, right? And it just looks like this. So y'all done used the man thing and got the man looking like this. Imagine, bro. Come on, bro. Y'all niggas is hot. And just like that, and just like the funding for the hitman's flights, records also show that the defendant Banks' credit card was used to purchase the hitman's hotel room the night before the unaliving. To establish, let me go check on my stream real quick. Hold up. Reading this shit like this all day. Facts. Okay. Let me read this shit out. All right, cool. To establish probable cause to search for evidence related to violations of the RICO and VICAR statutes, the affidavit also contains information about OTF's structure and history of violence. Specifically based on the FBI special agent's review of law enforcement reports, conversation with other law enforcement agencies, and conversations with CW1. This person is important, bro. They keep citing. This is the main person, number 1. Okay, confidential witness number 1. That's who this person is. Who is this person, bro? We're going to figure out who this person is shortly because we're going to know. You know who's in your case. Durk knows who this person is most likely by now. He knows who this person is. Because you know who's telling on you in your case, you know who's the witnesses, you know this. The affidavit states that in addition to OTF's status as a rap collective, OTF also acts as an association, in fact, of individuals who engage in violence, including unalivements, assaults at the direction of the defendant banks, and to maintain their status in OTF. The affidavit further stated that CW1 provided information about UNs and other overt acts that OTF members and associates took to commit violence on behalf of OTF. Who is this rat bastard, bro? Who is this? The affidavit then provided a specific example of racketeering activity in which defendant banks and other OTF members participated, specifically in an Atlanta robbery turned UN, in which, this is one with him and King Von, which defendant banks and Davon Bennett were both charged with the attempted unalivement and participation in criminal street gang activity. Vaughn would have went down for that too. Yeah, he'd have went down for that too. And he would have been a part. They'd have thrown him. Vaughn would have actually been in the OTF case, how Durk is in this case. He would have been the person that was charged for the part of the hire, the hit for hire. And probably Durk's brother. Word, son. If they were alive, they probably would have been in the case, and they would have been in Durk's position in a part of paying for the hit and being a hit for hire. If if Vaughn and D-Thing were alive. It's crazy. You know what I'm saying? But this case right here, this Atlanta thing, yeah. You see Durk got up out of there. Vaughn was going down for this too. That's why some people was making speculation. Yo, Sonny got him clipped for that, son. You know what I'm saying? So I can see why people saying it, but I just don't think that. I just believe they have a lot of love for Vaughn, and I just don't think that people will do that. You know what I mean? So we need proof to say things like that. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's foul if we don't have proof and we say things like that. You know what I mean? When you got love for a person talking about you trying to unalive them is hurtful. Anyway, lastly, the affidavit contained detailed opinions based on those involved in the M for hire and or racketeering offenses, that the evidence related to those offenses was likely to be found in the digital accounts to be searched. The special agent, the digital devices and the social media accounts often contained gang members or racketeering associates correspondence, including text, audio, and video messages between associates, as well as items and paraphernalia sufficient to show gang organization and membership. The special agents also opined that both hitmen and their contractors maintain materials about their intended victim in digital devices, including details, communications about the whereabouts of the victims and the motive behind the hit. So now they also talking in the phone about where Rondo is at. All of that is in the phone. And then why you want to do it. What is that to be explained for, bro? Yo, Shannon, you know they deserve it. But I don't know. I'm just speculating in my head. But what is that to be explained? That's crazy. Anyway, the motive behind the hit is crazy. In the phone, why do we need a motive? You already know what your motives are, if you have them. So you don't need to explain that. And anybody that's helping you allegedly because you remember they were supposed to be communicating with some people that was knowing where Quando and them was where they was at, right? Whoever they was communicating with, supposedly. I don't know, man. We got to see what's going on with Brick Baby and what part of Brick Baby, if he in there, and what person is this? Because Brick Baby was supposed to be a part of this. Is Brick Baby a witness in this shit? I don't know, bro. I don't know who. I ain't putting on nobody. I'm just saying. It's real talk. I remember that was a conversation at a time too. He damn near thrust himself into the Durk stuff by just speaking so much online and being a cloud chaser, Brick Baby. He basically did what Loose Cannon did to himself in the Big U thing. He was basically thrusting himself in his Durk situation when he never had to. Brick Baby, I'm speaking on. Finally, the affidavit explained that X allows users to communicate with other individuals over the platform by exchanging private messages, including photos, videos, and links, and text messages. Likewise, the special agent explained that the Apple's iCloud is a file hosting, storage, and sharing service that can, among other things, contain a user's text messages, photos, videos, contacts, call histories, emails, and amongst other documents such as spreadsheets, as well as backups of a user's digital devices, a cell phone that contains a user's text message and photos. Taken together, the specific facts set forth in the affidavit and the FBI special agents training experience provide more than ample probable cause to search the defendant bank's two accounts at issue, requiring only a reasonable nexus between the activities supporting probable cause and the locations to be searched, and that the magistrate may rely on the conclusions of experienced police officers regarding where evidence is likely to be found. Explaining for a RICO search warrant, any evidence relevant to prove any element of the RICO offense is potentially seizable, including evidence of association and of existence of the enterprise and the evidence of pattern of racketeering activity. Got you there with that one. I don't see how the judge throws this out. Based on how the government is pushing back right here, I just don't see how the judge throws this out. I don't even know if he gets a Frank's hearing. That's the crazy one. Do he not get the Frank's hearing? It's crazy, though. It's crazy if you don't get a Frank's hearing. I mean, you just got to deal with the case. You just got to go with whatever's up against you. You just got to go for it, bro. And that's going to be a scary one. That's going to be a scary one for Durk. Rejecting the argument that an iCloud account is too broad a place to be searched. I don't know if that's a good basis to be searched, because the law does not require warrants to specify rooms in a house, nor do we require warrants to specify files on a computer. His motion should therefore be denied. Okay. All right, because you finding devices in other places. Maybe it's a computer in the house. Maybe it wasn't Durk. Maybe somebody else was using the computer. Maybe somebody else was using the phones. But maybe things was found in his location, in his crib. You know what I'm saying? Or in the place where it was seized. But we can see that this is some of Durk's arguments to say, well, this is circumstantial. How you gonna say that's my stuff? One, what are you talking about? And all of that, right? So we can understand those days. Therefore, his motion should be denied. Okay, cool. The case involved the search, not exciting the case, State versus Grant. Okay, Ninth Circuit Court in 2012. This case was from. It's not on point. That case involved the search of a home belonging to the father of two gang members, one of whom was believed to be connected to an unalivened 9 months before the search. Now, the court found that the affidavit provided no evidence that the father had any connection to the M at issue, or that either of his sons had left the M weapon at his home. Those facts are not analogous of the affidavit at issue in this case, which sets forth the details of a murder. The defendants traveled to California to commit the murder, and the defendant bank's connection to the accounts to be searched. Grant is wholly in opposite. Okay, cool. So they saying his case was totally different than Durk's case, because there was nothing that was tying them back to the house of where they searched it. It's what they do when they fluff you, bro. For the foregoing reason, the government respectfully requests that this court deny the defendant's motion to suppress the evidence that's used against them, bro. They punched heavy with the Devon Bennett thing too, though. They threw that up in there and had to get that off. I don't know, bro. Straight. Let me get the cap into you. I think they on Durk. But I think that the evidence against him is circumstantial. You know what I'm saying? Unless they really who's the CW1 person? You have to figure this person out. Who's this person? You know what I'm saying? This person knows some stuff, obviously. Is this person in OTF? This person's obviously around OTF. Okay. But that don't mean this person is OTF. Okay. They're just the main witness in this case. But they are, the government is the they I'm talking about and I'm referring to. They are highly referencing CW1 based on highly trained officers and agents, okay, and CW1's testimonies of whatever he's alleging to them. This is how strong they feel. They have cited CW1 at least 3 times in this motion alone. So that goes to show you they're talking about the significance of his or her, whoever, testimony and how true or plausible it could be. You know what I'm saying? It's all about credence. It's all about, can you be believed? And the government is seeming like they believe CW1. So we want to find out who CW1 is. I don't know if y'all know who it is, but we will find out who that person is shortly. And when we find out who that person is, then we can at least look at Durk's situation a little different and say, damn, son, it's him that's doing it. Oh, it's crazy. It's nasty. It's nasty. Because that person, CW1, is also a legend about the six hits that Durk allegedly is trying to sponsor. You see what I'm saying? Forget the rap lyrics and talking about he's talking about go, green light, go, and then somebody screaming no. Yeah, that's bad if you're in a case like this, of course. You know what I'm saying? But it's still lyrics. You know what I'm saying? But you got a person here not only saying that he paid for the flights and all of that stuff, and he's the one that organized the whole trip to LA and back to and from, right? Not only did he do that, he's the guy that also put hits on other people that was potential rivals or that was against the gang. So that person right there, that person needs to be exposed, bro. You know what I'm saying? That person needs to be exposed. But y'all get in the comments, man. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this Durk situation. Do y'all think it's lights out for Durk? Do you think that Durk could, you know what I mean, finagle up out of there? You know what I'm saying? Find a way to get up out there. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? He got good lawyers and stuff like that. We know he got a good team. I just think that this case kind of like mirrors O-Block. You know what I mean? It kind of mirrors the O-Block case. And O-Block's case will heavily be mentioned in this case as well. And you got to understand that the jury most likely is going to be a jury of their peers. They're not too old. But let's think about it. Even in the jury of your peers, you have older people in there too. You know what I'm saying? And just think about the couple of older people that's in the jury that's listening to some of this stuff. The unaliving, the this, the that, the lyrics, the go, the nah, I just don't want anybody. I want the body that I paid for type conversation that the government is alleging that Durk saying or Durk was doing. That's the scary points, man. Young Thug was going to beat his case. He was going to beat it. Clear. Clear. Did he take a plea deal in the end? Think about it. He didn't want to put his life in hands of the jury, bro. You know you didn't, bro. No. So y'all get in the comments, man. Y'all let me know what y'all thinking about it, man. For me, it's free Durk. It's free Durk. You know what I'm saying? Free Durk. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully his boys stay true and stay down with him. You know what I'm saying? It's a bad situation for them to all be in. Then the unaliving the THF Bezu. You know what I mean? RIP to Bezu, man. You know what I mean? So it's a lot on Durk's mind right now, man. You know what I'm saying? He's seen a lot of death in his life. You know what I mean? Close people to him, cousins, brothers, best friends, man. He's seen a lot of people unalived. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not making nothing for no one. You know what I'm saying? But I just know that's a lot of trauma. It's a lot of trauma. You know what I'm saying? And you see when he was starting to change his life around a little bit, he got caught up in the sweeps. And we see that THF Bezu was trying to change his life around a little bit. And he got unalived. You know what I mean? Don't let that, you know what I mean, inspire you not to change your life or want to change your life. You know what I'm saying? Happily that maybe THF Bezu maybe was making steps towards changing his life. You know what I'm saying? Maybe not all the way. We all human. None of us are perfect. You know what I'm saying? But just accepting God in our life and just accepting Jesus. And, you know what I'm saying? Even though we from the streets and we live a certain life and we get it, son. You know what I'm saying? But just claiming God and just, you know what I'm saying? Even though you were still in the streets, you know how it is, bro, because you still gonna have to protect yourself. You know what it is. But to come outside, they having the garbs on, coming out like that. Sometimes people look at you doing that as weak. They look at you as believing in God and praising God and coming out dressed in your garbs and stuff like that as weak, bro. Like, nah, he got his feet up. Now we need to get you. You know what I'm saying? That's how people look at things sometimes, bro. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to anybody that believe in God and Jesus, man. Y'all get in the comments. Y'all let me know what y'all thinking about. Yeah, man, let me know what y'all thinking about Durk. What you think his chances are. Straight.
All my niggas from the Uda. All my niggas turn shooters. All my ops turn racks. All my niggas turn shooters. On the internet, you ain't been this right. All my niggas turn shooters. All my ops turn racks. All my niggas from the Uda. All my niggas turn shooters. All my ops turn racks. All my niggas turn shooters. On the internet, you ain't been this right. You been stuck in a computer. Show me the proof. All my niggas turn shooters. All my niggas from the Uda. Welcome to the Uda. All my niggas from the Uda. All my niggas turn shooters.